It's been a very long time coming, but I got my car back! It's done. I am so stoked. All the rust has been taken care of, the car has been treated properly, and it is ready for the next stage. So why don't we have a look at what the car looks like right now. To start off with, let's start at the back of the car because that's where, well, quite a bit of the rust, majority of the rust really was. It is really, really rusty, like absolutely rotten. When we started looking around the tail lights, classic E30 example of rust around there. It was really bad. Around the boot lining, we had the rubber strip that was all rotted out. We had rot happening where the battery was in the back right hand side. That was like really bad. That was really, really bad. A lot worse than what I thought it would be. And same with the other side, we had rust there too. It was just rotten, like really, really rotten. When I took the back bumper off for the first time, I was like, oh no, what have I bought? It was a little bit frightening to say the least. So what I did is I realized that this panel, well, it was a bit far gone, and I got to a point where I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna buy a brand new rear end, like a tail panel for the car. Couldn't get one from a wrecker, they're too hard to find rust free. If you can find one, that's amazing. So I just ended up buying a brand new one, which cost an arm and a leg. And when I got it, I was hyped. I was like, fantastic. So the panel beater can literally just cut this out and then weld the new one in. That wasn't that simple. You see, when I took it down to the panel beater, he rang me, he's like, you've bought a pre-facelift tail panel. So this is a facelift. I bought a pre-facelift one. There's quite a big difference. They're basically a completely different shape around the tail lights and everything. So that was kind of gutting. But in the end, the panel beater did manage to work his magic, and he cut out the top piece of it and managed to use that, and then a few other bits and pieces, but a lot of it was made from sheet metal, like from scratch, which I think he's done a pretty good job, to be quite honest with you. Everything that you're going to see on this car, all the areas that have been treated, all been sandblasted. Then they've been used a 2H primer on it, and then a lot of the areas have had cavity wax put in it too, just before it gets painted, so that there's no rust either. You might see some red sand in different places in this footage. Don't be alarmed, it's just left over from the sand blasting thing, whatever you use for that. What does a sandblaster look like? He's done a really good job of the boot, which is awesome, and I'm stoked with it. It looks amazing. It's not gonna rust out anytime soon. Moving on to the inside of the car, there was a heap of surface rust as soon as we pulled up the carpet in here that we noticed. He wire wheeled all of that back, 2-inch primered it, and yeah, that was like majority of what we could see, but there was a lot more going on. It turns out that this car, he reckons, has been in an accident at some stage. This rear quarter panel here basically has been replaced. The whole quarter had been cut out at some stage and welded in. I had no idea. Like, I could not tell, but he could, and he said, yeah, it's definitely been replaced. And that's why we saw so much rust happening on the right-hand side of the car in the back, and nowhere near as much on the left, especially in the wheel arch. He started working on this thinking it was like just a fairly quick touch up. Turns out the whole guard had been rotted out. I didn't even notice that. Like, I know it seems crazy that I didn't notice that, but maybe it was just somewhere that I just did not check. But anyway, so that had been completely rotted out. He had to remake that whole guard. Again, it's all been treated properly. It's ready to go. It looks amazing. But it was interesting to see that, to find out that this had been completely like replaced at some stage, and they hadn't treated it properly the first time. So now that's all good to go, but that is why we had so much rust also in that back battery tray as well. It's a common spot, I know, but this side was particularly bad. Moving on to the sills had had a bit of work done to them at some stage. I had receipts saying that, but they did not do them very well. So those were all touched up, and the reason why I say they didn't do them very well is because they rusted through again, which, you know, it shouldn't happen if a proper job had been done. It was a long time ago though, but still, you know, if the job had been done properly, it would have been treated and it wouldn't have rusted as badly as it did in such a short amount of time. The front on the firewall here and in the floor pans, that was really bad. Those two areas cost me so much time, well, time for the panel beater, money for me, maybe more so than anything else in the car. Those had basically the front wheel arches where the floor pan goes into the wheel arch and the firewall. That had to be like cut out on both sides, brand new metal put in and everything, all shaped nicely, because that was absolutely rotten in there. The front guards had to come off. The guards had actually been welded on the bottom, and the front guards had to be replaced, but before they were replaced, everything was done underneath there. The wheel arches are all like brand new metal pretty much, or in that part anyway, around the bottom, but it was all shaped nice, so you can see the pictures. They did a fantastic job. I'm stoked with it. We had loom holes that were completely rusted out. Those have been remade to the right shape, the right size, treated again, new metal. And the blower motor for the air vents, that was like where the bolts went for that, it was all rusted out. That had to be reshaped, remade. They did a really good job of that. I'm really stoked, and they've guaranteed that this is not going to rust through in any of the areas that they've worked on in my lifetime. That's enough for me. Anyway, the sunroof, oh my gosh, what a shambles. And I think I might have said it on a video, but I definitely said it to most of my friends. Getting this bad boy out was probably the hardest thing that I had to do when stripping the car. Pulling the motor out was fairly straightforward with a few helpful hands. The interior was pretty straightforward. But getting this out was tough because you had to be quite delicate with it. But once we got it out, we could see how bad it really was. Man, they went to some great lengths to rebuild this thing. I mean, all the corners and everything had to be like cut out, remade with new metal and everything, and they've done a really good job. You wouldn't know looking at it that it is had so much work done to it. So they've treated all of that. It all lines up real nice. I haven't actually tried the actual sunroof in it yet to see if it'll fit. But everything's been welded back into the original spot welds where the holes were that we drilled out, and everything's been sealed up real nicely, so shouldn't have any problem going in, and there is quite a bit of adjustment with the sunroof with that as well. I'm stoked on that. The doors did have a little bit of rust in them. The The one I think he actually forgot to do, which it's all good. It's a very small amount. It's like really, really small. It's very hard to see. So he probably just forgot that one. That'll be done before I get it painted. But this one, or is it this one? Is that one? That's been done. There's no more rust in that too. All the bottoms have been treated as well because they were all rusty on both of the doors. But it's just this area here that I think he might have forgotten, but that's okay. We move on. Now, the engine bay, what a time, you know? There's something about standing in an engine bay with no engine and just going, ah, man, like, it needs an engine. In the engine bay, same thing again, firewall's been looked at. There was quite a bit in there, as you remember. That's all been done properly. We've got the left-hand side of the car. There were bits that had to be like completely remade. Those have all been remade. I'm stoked with how it looks now. So, the car's looking really, really good. Overall, I'm stoked. You know, it means that now we can move on to the next thing. And as you can imagine, this would have costed me quite a bit of money. In fact, it's costed me pretty much everything. Not quite, very close. And so, you know, it is the dream car for me. I could have gone at it myself with a wire wheel and angle grinder and hoped for the best, but I didn't want to do that. You know, I'm stripping the whole car, I'm rebuilding it, I want to do it properly, and so I've decided to pay someone to do it who could do a much better job than I could. I'm going to be dropping the subframe at some stage, doing the bushings, so that the car will handle fantastically. Other than that though, I'll probably underseal the car, make sure it's all treated underneath or protected in some way from any corrosion underneath, and then the car will go off to get painted. It's going to be a long process. I've never promised this to be a fast one, and I just thank you guys for your patience and not going, hey, why the heck haven't you done anything for ages on that car you got? Like, because I appreciate the patience, you know, because I've had to have a lot of patience with this car, heaps of it. I think about it like every day, and when it was not with me, I was like, dang man, like what am I doing? I'm spending all this money on a car and I can't drive it, and I know that some of you will know exactly how I feel about that, but that's what the reward is when you get to that point and you can drive it, and I cannot wait for the day for that. So I'm stoked, I'm happy, and I'm just gonna save really, really hard now for the next stage on this car. We're still gonna be doing heaps, obviously, on JD's Sylvia and other things that are going on. He couldn't be here tonight, but there's plenty more to come on that car. We're not rich, we're just like you and me, we're the same, you know, like for most of you watching, you're probably on a really tight budget with your cars as well. So I know exactly how you feel, and we're just trying to do our best. So thank you so much for being patient, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Before I go, I want to show you guys something, and I'm sure JD wishes he could be here right now too. But we got merch. We do have merch. Those Car Dudes merchandise. This is our very first line of TCD merch, which is super, super exciting. This one here is my personal one, so it's got a bit of oil on it. Your one won't. And the new ones actually have a slightly bigger logo, but this is our very first design. You would have seen it in the videos, and you can have one of these. You can buy one of these, which is very, very exciting. I love it, so good. Chicken, those Car Dudes, what more do you want in life? Come on. We've got another design though. You see, we didn't just stop at one, we stopped at two. Those Car Dudes box tee. This is brand new, and we're super hyped about this. It's got the official, unofficial, those Car Dudes yellow happening going on there, and that can be yours as well. We've got those for sale too. We've got a very limited run of these at the moment. We're just trying it out, see if you guys are into it, and then yeah, we might even make stickers or something. I don't know. Let us know what you want in the comments, and we'll see what we can do. But we're going to see how the shirts go first. You can email us at thosecardudesorders@gmail.com. Email us with your size, what you drive, because we're interested, and what country you're from. And I'm pretty sure we can send them out to pretty much any country, and we'll let you know like shipping and stuff. It'll be sweet. We don't have like a flat rate because we're not that fancy yet. Aside from that, thank you guys so much for watching. This is a long project, this car, but we're super hyped about it. Plenty more happening on the Sylvia coming very soon. Hit us up on Instagram if you haven't already. Hit that follow button, and of course hit that subscribe button to see much more. We will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.